Hey there, welcome to Hermit Haven. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Jackie. We're so excited to invite you into our safe space. Hermit Haven is like a cozy little hideout where we get to celebrate being confident in ourselves as we find happiness in quiet moments.
So grab your favorite blanket and your favorite drink, and let's dive into today's episode.
Hi, I'm Jackie. Welcome back to Hermit Haven.
Hi, I'm Ashley. We're excited to have you. This week, we're going to be talking about our intentions for the podcast and our personal intentions for this year. We're super excited about this because I feel like in the beginning, we told you a little bit about ourselves. We told you where we're going with it, but now we're like 12 episodes in. We have 2 series. So we really want to dive in and tell you what to expect from us.
Yeah, so we wanted to start by kind of reflecting over the past year because even though we started the podcast in September was when we first posted our first one, we've been talking about this for a lot longer than that. And so we just kind of wanted to reflect on that, and then we'll kind of go into where we see this going and just some other fun things.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
it's crazy.
story time.
It's crazy because we've been talking about this for like over a year now, right? And I mean, this was an idea probably I had before I even talked to Jackie about it. But Jackie and I have always had these like conversations where we walk away feeling fulfilled. We walk away like we're on cloud nine, like just full of sunshine. And I always thought our conversations were just so motivational. I was like, Jackie, we should just like create a podcast with our conversations. And obviously, we were both going through a lot when this idea came up, and we both were like hesitant, but I think it really honestly motivated us in a way to even get our act together even more than we were already trying.
Yeah, I I think I gave Ashley like a quite a bit of pushback when she kept being like, "We should start a podcast. We should start," and I'm like, "That's a great idea." Well, I don't know. I don't know if I really thought it was a great idea at first because me and being on camera, like, it makes me a little nervous. But I just like was not, I don't know, my all my creativity from the grief and trauma of 2023, it's like it like took my creativity and like took it out of my brain and just like dumped it in a trash can somewhere. And I was like, I don't know where it is, but I'm telling you that I have no ideas. So I don't know how. I literally was like, I want to do this for Ashley, but I don't know how to help her because I felt like all of my ideas were just poofed out of my brain and I didn't know anything. And so, you taking, I mean, I know that I did some in the beginning, but you really took on a lot of the beginning. You as far as pushing me to do it with you, coming up with a name. Like she's the one that's always like, okay, like these are the ideas that we have. Okay, these are the dates that like let's pick this date. We're gonna try to shoot for this date. She's the one that pushes us in that way for this podcast, even still, even still. And so it was just really fun to like see Ashley believe in me so much and believe in this so much. And that I knew though that we had something special. As I feel the exact same way. Every time I talk to Ashley, it's like I just feel better, like more motivated. And you really just, I mean, I know that you're in front of me, so I'm saying this because, you're there, but you really just don't feel that way around a lot of people. I don't feel that way around, like, and that's mean to say. I feel good around people, but I literally feel more motivated after I talk to Ashley, like in my life. And so we knew that like our conversations were just something special and we just wanted to bring them here. I just rambled a lot, sorry, but
I
that's my.
agree. I agree. I'm getting teary-eyed. Maybe it's the pregnancy hormones, but I agree so much. And I've always saw Jackie as like my mentor. So if you've listened to our earlier podcast episodes, you would know Jackie and I work together in network marketing. So I already knew we can work together as a team because we've done it before. So I believed in us that we could work together as good as a team. I've always seen us collab really well. Like she would have an idea and I would have an idea and be like, oh, well, here's a suggestion. Here's a suggestion. Like it was never like, I feel like we were trying to like be better than each other, which is great. And so we actually tried starting this podcast way before September, though. I don't know if you remember this, but it was on the calendar to start this podcast, like release our first episode in August. And we never got there, but eventually we did, right? We got there a couple months later.
I think our original date was like April.
It could
Remember
have been
that? We were like,
April.
oh yeah.
But you're right. It was April, not August. My
It
brain.
was
Small brain.
April. And I was like, okay. I think we pushed it back to July and then we were like, let's go, let's keep going. Yeah. There was just a lot happening.
You were right. It was April. And I feel like too, like we weren't ready. Like we were spending so much time on tasks that like might have been a little bit educational. Like we did get some stuff out of it, like what we did want to do, but we weren't
Yeah.
like getting like where we needed to be for it to be released. I think too, like it was like we were just nervous. Like we're like, do we do this? Do we not? I think eventually we just had to like pull the plug and be like, let's do it.
Yeah. Well, I think the lesson in all of this, like for people listening, is we had no idea what we were doing. We knew we need to like record things, but other than that, we didn't know anything. And so we had to just figure it out along the way from not knowing what we were doing. So I just think that goes like to say that anyone can do anything that they really want to do because it's just kind of learning. And a lot of what we learned is learning as we were doing it. Like we were like, what do we do? Oh, that didn't work out. Okay, next month or next week or whatever, we need to do it differently. And just kind of learning what works and what doesn't work. But I think it really helped out that we, like, Ashley and I are very similar and very different. And the different things about us help us a lot because we each have our own strengths. And it just, like, she does certain parts of the podcast and I do certain parts of the podcast. And we both get to do creative things
Yeah.
that we really want to do. And it helped a lot for me personally last year. Like I said, my like creativity was like taken out of my brain. This podcast helped me to get a lot of that back because I had like a purpose, like a creative purpose. And so, just because of Ashley, like, that's why we're here.
What
So
do you mean? You showed up too. If you didn't show up, we wouldn't be here.
I
But
know, I know.
But I agree. Like, I think that's what's so beautiful too is like we have, like you said, we have our own strengths and we have our own things. And so, like, you're super good at doing all the little creative things and all that, like, things that, like, my brain is like, what? Like, putting the captions together, putting emails together. Like, you're just so good at that. And I love long form content editing. Like, give me iMovie any day, just simple, basic iMovie. And I love editing. And I've always loved editing, something I did in high school. Like, I was telling Jackie about this, but I've edited to like videos for school before. Like, it's just something I love. And so getting back into editing again is so awesome. And it inspires me to like want to do more. Just like she was saying, like Jackie saying, like it's inspiring her to do more. So I love that.
Yeah. And you also, I mean, like I said, you're the one that like comes up with like, I mean, a good amount of our like titles and ideas and things. Like, I know I've come up with some stuff, but you come up with a lot of stuff, and you're the one that's like putting dates to everything and like texting me, like, okay, like make sure that like we're doing this and we're on top of that, and like,
Just organizing it. I feel like I'm so
you
type
are.
A, but I'm so type B because even though like everything is organized, like I still feel like when I'm looking like and scrolling for information. But again, I know that if we're not like one of us is not on top of it, then like nothing's ever going to be put out. And it's easier to like just show up and be like, okay, this is what we're recording today. And a lot of our episode ideas that we have, and we have tons of them, is from conversations we had. Like we'll literally be talking about something and we'll be like, oh, that should be an episode idea. Like I think one of the things we were talking about, I think once upon a time ago, was like we were talking about how we both were never picked like first on a team. And that is one of our episode ideas that we have on the on the board somewhere. And I was like, oh, let's do that as an episode. So you'll see we have so many fun episodes that we talked about because we had that conversation first.
Our amazing conversations just come out into amazing episodes. It's fun.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
too, like it's something like from the beginning, Jackie and I have always been in this place where we always wanted more for ourselves and we always want to find like ways to take care of ourselves. So I think that's like super like important about our personalities. And that's kind of why we mesh so well is because at the end of the day, like it's not about, oh, Jackie being right, Jackie being perfect, or I'm being right and it's perfect. It's how can we help build each other because we both have the same goal of being the best person we can be.
Yeah. And one of the things that I loved when we first started is we kept talking about building community. And I know like everyone in this world wants to be a part of something, right? Like everyone wants to fit in and be a part of something, but we just kept being like, okay, like yeah, we eventually would love to make money from it and this and that, but like forefront needs to be how do we build a community of people that are like-minded or growth minded. It doesn't have to be exactly like how we think. It's just like-minded, right? Like want to grow and want to be better. And how do we grow that? And so that was something that from the beginning we were always like really adamant that we needed that. And that's why we started the Facebook group page, which we both were a little nervous about starting. But we're growing it and it's been fun. So if you're not in there, go hop in. But
Yeah, I think that's, we've always talked about like how can we grow a community, which we'll get more into like some of our goals with community and stuff. But I definitely agree, like, it wasn't just for us, these podcasts, even though like no one shows up, we would still do this. We love
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So,
We wrote down some favorite moments. Should we go through some of those?
yes, I was about to say that. You read my mind.
uh, the name and logo. We kind of already talked about how we came up with the name. We both kept like ghosting each other in text and be like, "Sorry, I've been a hermit. Hi, how are you?" Like a week later. And then a week later, Ashley texts back, "So sorry, I've been a hermit too. How are you?" Like we were both in just like a really just not the best mental place. So we just weren't, there to like chit chat. That's how I was with everyone. And I'm sure same with her. But that's how we came up with the name. And then the logo was your idea,
It was like
100%.
it was like sort of like both of our ideas, but like you started the drawing and then I kind of like always like I feel like it's always we build up on each other's ideas. So
True.
I I literally was like, Jackie, I want you to draw the logo. Like Jackie's an amazing artist. Like she draws so well. And so I had her draw the logo and she drew one girl and I was like, what if we have a second girl? Like there's two of us. And then she drew a second girl. Like she did all of that and she like chose the font. She did amazing. It's actually funny too because we came up with a name like when I lived in Florida, I would come over to Jackie's house like maybe like an hour before the boys had to be picked up from school and I would just like go with her to pick up the boys and like run whatever errands she had to run. Like, just hang out with her. I was just like wanting to spend time and we were literally sitting in the car line picking up her oldest son and we were like going through different names with Hermit in it and we're like Hermit Haven. Okay. And then we came up with like our little slogan. And it's so funny. Like we just were collaborating all the time whenever we could.
Yeah. We just always work together really well. We love each other so much. Yeah. So that's the name and logo. It was fun. Something I will say about Ashley, I'll just say this really quick, has nothing to do with our favorite moments, is that whenever you do have ideas or like I'd say constructive criticism, something about the way that you say it to me is like never offensive at all. Like, sometimes when people say like, oh, like we should change this or do this, like I don't know, sometimes you can just take it in like a way, but I never have ever taken anything that Ashley says in that kind of way, and I just think that speaks to you and how you are. So I just had to say that really quick. It just
I
popped in my brain.
It's so interesting you say that because I feel like I work so hard. Like before I even like will say something, I'm like, oh, I'll double check. Like, does that make sense? Like, I feel like it's just so important because when you say something the wrong way, like it's being disrespectful. And I always like, and it's a hard thing to say. Like most people don't have the guts to be like, hey, maybe we should
Yeah,
try it different on that. But it's funny too, because like even when I work with children, I'm like always reminding them, I'm like, why don't you ask a question, not demand it? Like, don't demand
yeah,
what you want. Ask a question.
yeah. No, I love it. We'll have to find like I'll have to come up with more moments so that I can share that on the podcast and like how you do that because I feel like if more people did that, they would just be so positive. Like I don't even know if I'm very good at it. Like I don't know. Anyway,
Girl brain.
our Girl brain. Our spooky staycation was another fun favorite memory because it's when we created our first podcast.
I think if we didn't have Spooky Staycation, I don't think we would be where we are. I think Spooky Staycation really like cemented this is what we love, this is what we want to do. And then like we got to create the first episode in the most funnest place ever, doing the most funnest stuff and like creating memories together. And I feel like people think, oh, like all we did was work. We had so much fun. I still think about like going to get pretzels at Disney Springs and like an hour before close.
Yeah. So in case you haven't seen our other episodes, and this is the first one, we went to Disney for just a night. We stayed at what was it, All Star
Yeah, also
Sports?
love All Star Sports.
Yeah. we stayed in the room for quite a bit of time because, like I said, we had never filmed. We were trying to create. It took us forever to create the intro that y'all see on our videos. It took us, I don't even know how long. Ashley has all the footage, but it took forever because we actually did script it out. We wanted it to be nice so that because it goes on every single video. So like there's just things that we didn't realize how much time we were like, yeah, we could like knock out 5 episodes. And we are like, maybe that's a lot. We did get 3 done though.
We did. It was also
3.
raining, and so like it was just like, okay, let's just stay in. It's raining,
Yeah.
it's terrible out. I think we eventually like got dinner at the food court, but like it was
Yeah.
just one of the nights where it was like the perfect weather because it was raining and it was gloomy. I think it's funny
Yeah.
too because like I never wear makeup, but like I was like, I gotta do my makeup. Like this episode, like this intro and this outro has to be perfect. Like you said, it was like something we're always gonna be showing.
Yeah. It was like the perfect vibe because we both love Disney and there's like Disney in the background, obviously. Like, probably watched it if you're watching this, but it just was so us. And we were in like our comfies, and that's just the feel that we wanted for our podcast. So it
I'm
worked
pretty
out so
sure
well.
our intro and outro were written like in the beginning of the year too. Like
Probably.
it's
Yeah.
been
I
written.
think we were at Disney Springs when we were writing them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
So fun. Okay. This is our 11th episode. So our reaching our 10th episode, right? Or this is 12th.
This
This
is
is 12.
I think
We
this is
just put the 11th out today. Okay. Sorry. I don't even know
all
where
right.
I'm at. We're just we're just so far. I don't even know what episode this is. It could be 20 by now. But reaching our 10th episode was just really special because we were like, we're already 10 episodes. It's
Which is
wild.
amazing.
It's wild. We like didn't, I don't know, just from where we were this time last year until now, wild. I'm so proud of us.
Our Facebook group, which we're super proud of, which by the way, like we said, like it was like, should we put this on the to-do list? Should we not? Should we do it? Should we not? And we're so glad we did it at the end of the day because it's a place we can have these conversations with the community.
Yeah, I still need to like tell everyone about it. I guess Facebook started telling people, "Hey, Jackie created a group," because all of a sudden there were a bunch of people in there, and I didn't really do much in there because I thought we were going to wait, until a certain time to start posting and announcing it, and then all of a sudden I look in there and I'm like, "How are all these people already in here?"
Like, where'd you come from? Where'd you come from?
That was exciting though to see everyone in there when we hadn't even announced it yet. So, thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Yeah. We absolutely love when people comment on the videos or posts, whatever. Like we love if you listen to it or, you're finding just some like nugget of information that's helpful. It literally makes our day. Like we will text each other and be like, "Did you see this comment?" We're like crying faces, like this is amazing. Like we appreciate the feedback so much because we just put so much into this and so much like love, and we love doing this. And like Ashley said, even if we never made any money, like we love doing this. We're currently just doing this for fun. It's still like a passion project right now. Like we're building our brand. So it's not like we're getting paid to sit here. We just love it. And so when you guys comment and give us feedback, we love it. So
It's a
keep doing
sign. It's a sign it's where we're meant to be.
that. Yeah, absolutely.
So I think, it's incredible too because I don't know, like making these episodes, it's so effortless too. Like we really are like, I don't know, like I feel like in the beginning, like you said, we were like trying to figure out what we're doing. We're like like two people stumbling in the dark, be like, is this right? Is this correct? And now we just like show up and we're like, all right, let's script this episode, let's get this done. And when we say script, we're not like sitting here reading like an actual script. It's just like notes and bullet points. Otherwise, Jackie and I would be like scroll braining the whole episode, be like, by the way, even though we still scroll brain,
Yeah.
we
We were
just
talking about our lunch from earlier today. Like, no, it's
want to stay on topic too. Also, like we know so many topics are so similar to other topics. So we just want to make sure we're staying on this topic because we chose this topic for a reason. And we want to make sure we're giving you the right information. Also, we do research. Like a lot of these episodes, we go and do research and be like, what's, besides what we think, maybe what's some other answers that are on the internet. So it's so funny though, because literally every time we show up to edit, I go, so Jackie, how are we gonna do this? Even though we're like 10 episodes in, and I just go, oh yeah, I remember. I know how to do this again.
We do it every time. It's fun. Yeah, we have had just so much support from family and friends. I mean, when did we do our beacons our to sign up for emails? Was that right away? I guess it was, obviously, because
It was like a couple days before we actually released what we were even doing. Like we never told anyone we were doing a podcast. We were just like, yeah, we're working on a passion project.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah. Even some of my family was like, they were like close friends. They were like, "What are you doing? What's the project? What's the secret?" And I'm like, "Well, because I don't know. I was just nervous to tell people for whatever reason." And do you remember how many signups we had like
It's like
right in the first
40
24 hours?
something. It was like 40
Yeah,
something. It was
40
crazy.
something. And
And
I
it's,
was like,
I was gonna say it's crazy too, because you'll look at like who signed up and you're like, I don't even talk to these people anymore. Like that's amazing that they're
yeah.
interested.
Yeah, we had people just like random people from social media that just found us, like found our post sign up. Like, I don't know, it just blows my mind. Like the power of, reaching out. And that's why we always do say, like, if you know someone that these topics people might enjoy these topics, like, please let them know because we want to grow our community like as big as we can. When we have a bigger community, we're able to like give recommendations other people to us or to each other, and so it's going to be this year we're going to grow our community a lot. It's going to be so fun. Anyway,
I feel like too
um,
so cute, like the support you get from like your family, like your children. Like they're like, shh, mommy's recording. Like it's so cute. But like also
yeah,
like our partners, like we're so supportive by our like significant others. Like they're like, oh, like I feel like at one point Matt was like, you talk to Jackie more. And I'm like, we're building a podcast. I'm sorry.
yeah. The first day that we like posted our first podcast, we were on FaceTime. We're like, Matt, what do we do? Matt, what do we do?
Matt,
What do we
so
do?
Matt has had two successful podcasts in wrestling. So I will say Matt did give us some tiblets here and there, and he was like super supportive, and he is still super supportive. He's like, you need to do this or do that, and he's always like, he was so cute. The other day, I didn't even tell you this, Jackie, but the other day. I was telling him, I was like, what if we go in labor and I have an episode to edit? He's like, I'll edit it for you. It's fine. And I was just like, I wanted to cry so bad because I was just like, oh, that is so sweet.
That's really sweet. I love it. Even like, my family will ask me like, how is it? What's going on? Like try to give, episode ideas and stuff. It's really cute. I love it. So yeah, we've had a lot of support.
My dad was like when I wasn't like working and I felt really bad. My dad's like, you're building a podcast, you're working. Like he made me feel so much better about it. And like all the time they're like, how's your podcast? How's your podcast? I'm pretty sure our mothers and like my aunt are like our biggest fan though. Like family support. Like I love that they're like, I want to watch every episode. I want to know everything. And then like the fact your mom is like giving us like telling us exactly like what we should do. Like, oh, family support has been amazing. And we just feel so blessed because it's besides the community leaving these like sweet comments being like, this is what I need to hear or whatever it is. Like, just it really again reminds us this is where we're meant to be. And like Jackie and I talk about this all the time. Like, this is what we want to do for the next million years. Like, this is what we want our children to know as our legacy. And I love it. Another thing that is a big milestone, I'm super proud of us. We, again, like we said, we were literally stumbling in the dark, being like, what are we doing here? But we started doing bi-weekly episodes. So every other week we had an episode, and now we're doing weekly episodes since December. So like 2 months in, we started doing weekly episodes, and I'm so, so proud of us because it's hard work. Another thing that we talked about since like the beginning, sort of, but we put it in that, in our idea book was in October we did this. We wanted to do a second series called Book Club, and we just released the introductory episode, and we recorded the second episode already. And I'm just super proud of us because this is something like we talked about, and here we are.
Yeah. I I really wanted to do weekly episodes when we first started, and Ashley's like, I think we need to do bi-weekly. And I'm so glad that we did, because we were like, didn't know what we were doing. But now we're just like in the groove, and by, Wednesday when this comes out every week, we're like ready to go. Like even like the day before, we're just like, yep, it's all set up, it's all ready to go. Like,
Do you remember? I think it was like the first or second episode. We're like, it's not uploading. What's happening?
I'm pretty sure one of them came out on the Thursday instead of a Wednesday because we were like,
Yeah,
whatever.
literally. So it's just crazy. Like we're on top of it now.
Yeah.
But I guess that goes into our next subject. What are some challenges you think we face and some things we overcame this last year or so?
Yeah. It was all a challenge. We were clueless.
Literally.
We didn't we there's so many little things that goes into it, because we are trying to like do some social media stuff and like promote and whatever. I mean, but not just that, just that you have to write just like a YouTube description. You need like or on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, you need podcast notes, and the email and just like all these little tiny little parts, the editing and the cover photo and just so many different things.
Remembering to upload it, putting the links out there, like so many things. Making
Yes,
sure we
so
write
many things.
a story about it.
Yep, which I need to do tonight. For the but yeah, there's just so many things, and so like I said, it was just a lot of learning along the way, but it was really fun, and we're still learning, but we're getting in a groove, so it's
I feel
fun.
like book club is going to be something we're going to figure out if it works or not, like how we set it up too. Like, like is this too many chapters to read in 2 weeks? Like, I feel like, right, there's still stuff we're going to learn on the next series, and we have more series coming. We'll get
Yeah,
into that, I promise.
yeah. I think one of the biggest challenges when we first started is that we both were grieving and both were just in just not the best mental place that we've ever been in. And so to try and get this going just was a very long process. And that's okay. We needed to do it in the timeline that we needed to do it in, and it was just our timeline. We just set arbitrary goals, which I think is really important to do. I'm so glad that Ashley set dates for us, even though a lot of them we kept pushing back. But regardless, having a date to work towards was really helpful for both of us because we were in that grieving state. It just gave us something to take us out of that mindset and work towards. And I
Yes.
think that's why this was such a healing, like helpful thing for us over the past year. So
Yeah, I think, and how can we come to you guys and be a light and like talk and like, even though like our conversations have always been inspiring, even in time of grief, like, how can we be a light? Because that's all we want to be is we want to be a light of joy. And so, really working on ourselves first to get to where we are was definitely need to be done. And I'm so proud of us that we did it. And we're still
yeah,
working on ourselves every single day.
yeah. One of another big challenge, I'd say we really are trying to make sure that we're recording and like, being a few episodes ahead. If as most people I feel like would know that you'd want to be ahead, but like fitting this into our schedules, we have just all over the place schedules. And so I guess each week we kind of figure out like, okay, what are the work schedules? What's going on? What do the kids have going on? We have to like consult each other and be like, when can we talk this week? Because we need to have a meeting outside of just recording to do other stuff. And so trying to figure all of that out is always still a challenge, but like we've been making it work. So
Yeah.
it works out.
Our goal is to get like 3 months ahead. I know that's like a big goal and it might not be 3 months ahead, but I think if we shoot for 3 months and we get to a month and a half, we're still doing great.
Yeah. We need to get ahead so that when Ashley has a baby, she doesn't have to worry about podcasting.
I mean, I'll probably be like, I have to record an episode. Yeah, we joke about all the time how the baby's gonna come out just like spieling podcast episodes.
Yeah. My voice is going to be known.
Literally, I'm pretty sure every time like I edit or something, I feel a little baby kick and I'm like, oh, you hear your Auntie Jackie?
It's great.
So besides schedules and all that stuff, another thing is like working on content. Like Jackie and I, obviously Jackie's been a content creator way longer than I have. I just like one day decided, actually, pretty much with Jackie, decided that I should create content because I never believed in it. But Jackie's been a content creator for a while now. That's what she had to do for her last job. She's really good at it. And I think over the last year or so, we kind of just lost the being creative and like wanting to post content and really just, putting stuff on our social media. I feel like too, the things we were posting were like old videos and old photos or just like random, like, oh, it's been 2 months, let me post something kind of ordeal, right? Or I had this really brilliant idea. It was the only idea I've had in 5 months, so let me post it. And so something that we've been working and striving on is how to create content for ourselves personally. But how do you create content for a podcast? That's not something like that's easy. Like, and, and it because it's based on our lives, like we're pretty much just like tagging our like brand in it, but we want to get to the point where we're creating just slow content for Hermit Haven.
Yeah, it really is a challenge creating content for a podcast because I'm used to creating content for my own page. So it's just me doing the things that I do. And so we're like, and I see a lot of podcasts that do mostly like clips of, their podcast audio, whatever, video. And that's great. But I think people want to see more. They want to see deeper. They want to just see more of who we are. And so we've been really talking about how we can show us, but in the right way that would make sense in the podcast, like
So
TikTok and Instagram, whatever.
yeah, 100%. I think that's the thing too, is like we said, we started with like bi-weekly episodes. We learned that skill. We got to weekly episodes. We were right. We felt confident enough to add a second series, right? We're still trying to figure out if where that's actually going. Is this the right, way to do it? And I think that our next big goal or big thing that we're working on is how do you create content? But like we said, like we have to have time to record. We have to have time to have admin meetings, which we have a huge to-do list that we still have on our like main page. We share like a Notion database with everything, right? So try and divide those tasks to like who's going to do this admin task, who's going to do that admin task. And some of them are super easy. We just haven't got into them yet. So, right, it's dividing admin tasks, having admin meeting, and then having a content meeting. It's a lot of meetings. And it's always worth it, but it's right. Do we have the time? So this week, we were lucky we had 2 days to edit or 2 days to record, and we have like a regular meeting. I think we meet it on Monday too, or did I imagine that?
Sunday.
I don't know. Yeah, Sunday. There we go. I was like, I think I imagined this, but yeah. So, last week we had a lot of days, but then we have a lot of life coming up. Like my mother-in-law is coming to town for a week. So like, am I going to have time to really meet with Jackie? So again, it's important that we're getting ahead, which is a challenge because it's like we have so much to do, right? So what is important and what do we have to get done right now?
Yeah, prioritizing, which isn't always my strength. So we're making it work.
Exactly.
Let's go ahead and start talking about our podcast intentions for the year. We kind of already started talking about this one. We want to grow a community. And like I said, we've been talking about that since the beginning of when we started talking about doing a podcast. We just really want a community of like-minded women that want to grow and want to share and just like have peace and joy and just like live our most authentic selves. And like we always say this, but like non-judgmental. Like there's so much judgment in the world, and we just want a really safe space, like a really safe little community where we can just say things and not be judged for what we're saying because we're just being us, right? So,
Yeah. I
yeah.
think I don't know. I always think about like my aunt. So my aunt is, like I said, she's like one of our biggest fans. And when we were talking about this podcast and I was talking about the idea of it to her, she was telling me about this article she read in wherever, and it was talking about how like these different women would like meet up and help each other, and I was like, I want that. Like I want someone to be like, hey, I need a really good cookie recipe, can someone share that? Or hey, I'm going to Houston, I want to go thrifting, can someone help me? Like let's
Yeah.
meet up. And I like that's what I want in the future, is like that. Yeah, it's gonna start small, right? It's gonna start with us just like growing those conversations and like, but I want it to be that other women in the community want to be friends with everyone, not just us.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like we're all like I know we talk on the podcast, so we want like everyone to just be a
Yeah,
part. Yeah. We also would love brand partnerships, brand sponsorships. That's
yeah,
definitely one of our goals by the end of the year is to have one of those. And that happens by us continuing to obviously do what we're doing, show up more on social media, because that's how really we're growing the most, but also by continuing to ask you guys what you want to hear so that we are doing topics that makes the most sense for our community. And then also you guys sharing, telling a friend like, hey, I've been listening to Hermit Haven podcast. Have you heard of it? Like you should go listen to it. Here's a link or whatever, by word of mouth, and you guys just telling people or sharing it, on social media. That's how we're going to grow and be noticed by potential brand sponsorships.
Yeah, I think, something we said earlier is like this is like what we want as part of as our like legacy. Like, I don't know, like I think about my future children be like, Mommy's a podcaster, like mommy makes podcasts, like right. And I think too, like we'll get more into like our ultimate goals like in the next 5 years or so, but like besides brand sponsorships, like, just we want to be able to take this podcast and go everywhere with it, right? And so it is our full-time job. Like this is all we have to think about besides like our house and our family.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think another thing for us is, right, we already said we get all these comments like, this is what I need to hear, this is so special. And we hope that, like, it's not, you just don't listen and you're like, okay, I feel good. Like, we want you to feel inspired enough to go do these things. Like, if it's make a vision board, if it's go to work and set that boundary you've been dying to set, or if it's have those hard conversations that you've been trying to have, like, we're hoping to inspire millions and millions of women to feel heard, to feel loved, to feel that it's okay to be a hermit. It's okay that you didn't text back your friend in 50 days and that you need to set that boundary and being like, hey, sorry, I didn't get back to you, but this, that, and the third is going on. And I think that's like really where we want this podcast to go in a sense is besides us having these conversations, you're going home and having these conversations with your friends, your family, and you're really inspired and you're truly like growing from it.
Yeah, we've done so much work on ourselves to be in this place where we take action and in the way that we need to, which is going to be different for everyone. So you just kind of have to like take, what makes sense for you. But we just want everyone to be able to like be the happiest and live their best lives. And so it's like Ashley said, not just listening to what we say, but actually taking this and taking action and changing your life because
Yeah.
things that I thought I could never change are completely different in such a good way. And it's almost like unbelievable, like to think back to who I was and how different I am now. And that's what we want for everyone.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, no, we're not perfect, right? Like what you see on camera is what you see. But like, I'll be honest, like we're not perfect. We don't have the best days always, right? Sometimes we're just not doing 100% the stuff, but we're never not thinking about it. I think that's the thing too, is like you going home and just like kind of pondering like what we said is you're doing the work already, right? Just like us being like, man, I should have journaled today, right? What can I do different tomorrow?
Yeah. Being curious about what life could look like is totally taking action. So, love that.
Other thing is like we keep saying, besides growing like our community, we want to grow our socials so that people do see where we are. Like right now we have 30 followers on Instagram, right? We're hoping that we can grow our socials and that way this podcast goes farther than it did, right? Right now, maybe we're only in America. We want this podcast to go out to England. We want this podcast to go around the world. And that way that's going to happen is us growing these social media, growing our YouTube, growing our Instagram, growing that Facebook group. And again, it's not going to happen overnight. And we know it's going to take us hard work from us and hard work from you guys, right? It's about you guys commenting, following, reposting, and sharing our stuff. And I think that's part of like the community too, is like you trust us and love us enough that you want to reshare our stuff. And we hope that like we make that way into your hearts.
Absolutely. And something that Ashley always reminds me of is like that she's such a ray of sunshine. So she always has just like a positive mindset. And she always makes sure, even if she says something or I say something, to rephrase it to I get to instead of I have to. And she does that with everything. Like, I get to do the dishes and I get to do this and that, and things that most people are like, oh, I don't want to have to do that. She's always like, I get to do this. And she does share that a lot on social media, and that is just something else that we just want people to be able to like romanticize their lives and just have that same positive mindset of I get to do all of these things. I'm like able-bodied and I get to do them, and what like a gift it is that we can do these things in our life. So
I mean, I think a lot about our episode. If you haven't listened to this episode, it's a really good episode. All our episodes are good, let's be honest. But when we talked about a rich life, like we talked about the concept of you are rich because we have these cute little stuffies. We're rich because we have a family that's in this household with us, right? We're rich because we do have dirty dishes. Like we're rich because we have all these things. And I think that is part of that positive mindset. Like how can, we're all always complaining, we're always in the negative. How can we stay in the positive? And it's so hard, but it's so important because if you're a positive sunshine, it's something so simple as smiling or saying thank you to the person cleaning the bathroom. Do you think that person wants to clean the bathroom at that Target? Probably not. I remember as a hostess having to have to clean the bathroom in the restaurant. Like, I didn't want to do that, but how far does someone saying thank you go? So far. So it's remembering that you are in this world to also be a positive light.
Yeah. And even like saying thank you to your spouse for doing things that I know that they should be doing anyway, but like reminding someone that you appreciate them goes a long way and creates like a much better relationship. Even telling yourself thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jackie, for doing this workout today. I actually did. It's still so awkward for me to talk to myself in the mirror, but I did say some things to myself the other day in the mirror, and it made me feel really good because I meant them. So anyway.
Proud of you. Affirmations in the mirror are so powerful.
We wanted to talk about just some different things that are going to be coming to the podcast to just throw them out there and kind of get you guys ready. We've talked about some of these already, but Ashley was saying earlier, we already started the book club. That's a new series that we have, but we also want to start interviews, something that we've talked about since before we even released, I think, our first podcast episode. But we just need to figure out what we were doing before we brought someone else in to the crazy to figure that out too. So we do want to start doing interviews, which is going to be really fun. We also really want to do vlogging. That's something that is more Ashley's like forte. She has done vlogs in the past, but we want to start showing more of us and like we're going to be kind of meeting to talk about that and social media. I feel like they kind of both are things that we're going to talk about. How do we want to like progress with that and move forward and do more? And what does that look like?
Yeah. And that was something like when we introduced this podcast, we said like, we also want to introduce vlogs and we have one vlog, which is our spooky staycation. But something I think we've been trying to figure out is how to merge our vlogs or like how to make it work. And that's something we're still working on. So that's going to come with our content talk, like you said, that's going to come all together, right? And I think too, it's how do you do all this, but also create content for our own? And it's figuring out a system that works where you're not like doing extra work. Work harder, not work smarter, not harder.
Yeah. I think we tend, just like any other person in life, to overthink everything as well. So we're probably overthinking it, but it'll come to us. We'll just start spitballing back and forth, and then it'll all make sense.
And I think
We also,
too, I was gonna say, I think too, like we'll find what does work and what doesn't work, and what's more work and what's less work, and we'll find what you like what our audience wants to see and hear, and then eventually we'll have it down packed, just like we have this podcast down packed.
do we? No, it's kidding. We do. We're doing a great job. We also want our Facebook group to grow. We took a lot of time to figure out what we wanted before we started the Facebook group. We were thinking about different avenues. Excuse me. We were thinking about different avenues and like how we wanted to involve the community together rather than just us speaking to you to be able to speak together. But we really want to grow our Facebook page a lot and just be able to have all those different resources and just different people connecting. But that is definitely something that we're going to be working more on moving forward. We literally just introduced the Facebook page. So,
We're growing it. We're learning.
yeah,
That's the thing too. That's gonna be like part of our admin task and our content plan is like making sure we're commenting back, making sure we're getting comments, we're getting things up there, right? So
yeah,
that's something we have to work on too, right? How are we gonna grow it ourselves?
yeah. And Ashley kind of already mentioned the traveling part. That was really her idea. I love it though, but she's like, we could
And our
travel,
It's
do
been my long-term goal since we've talked about this podcast is like I just imagine a series where we're traveling and like How, okay, so we're like imagine like I this is what I imagine. This is what I told Jackie when we first started this was okay, imagine being like in some city. We have like a suite, right? Because like you have your family on one side of the suite, I have my family on the other side of the suite, and we have like a dining room table, and we send our husbands out with the boys and the kids, and we're like, go, go do your thing, have fun. And we just sit back and we're recording and we're like, today we did this, today we did that. This was our top tips. This is things we would not do with our children. Like, I just think that would be so fun to do. And it's just, we love having these conversations. Also, like, let's be honest, Jackie and I are like ready for bed at like 10 o'clock at night. So, like, we're like, take the children, go.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ashley's talked about local meetups, which make me a little nervous, but
I just think that'd be so fun. And like, it doesn't have to be like meeting us, but like, how fun would be like, let's set up at a coffee shop in like Houston, Texas. I don't know why keep going back to Houston, Texas. I've never been there, but and be like, hey, we're gonna have a local meetup at the Starbucks, whoever wants to come, and you guys can have these conversations in person. Or like, Jackie's really good at making sourdough. What if Jackie's like, hey, we're gonna have a sourdough class at this local hotel in the convention room? Like, I think that'd just be so fun. Or like Disney goes, or like we could all go to Disney together, like or on a cruise. Like I don't know. I just see so much potential for this podcast, and I don't want it to be just like this, like oh, it's just conversation, self-development. Like no, I want it to be fun. I want it to be like this is something like we're all part of.
Ashley's really good about bringing people together. So you've always had that element to you, and I love that. It makes me nervous, but that's kind of, the point. You're supposed to get in your comfort zone. But I do love, one of my love languages is quality time. So I do love having meaningful conversations with people. So I know that would be really fun, but meeting up with people as an introvert, it's just
I
a
just
little,
I just see my children's activities hosting self being like, we're gonna play bingo, we're gonna do trivia.
yeah.
And Jackie's just gonna be like, okay, I got this. I got this.
When we were when we did network marketing, like a lot of people knew me because I would talk on camera because I would be teaching, right? And then we would go to conventions and I would tell everyone in advance, like, look, I talk on camera because I do this for what we're doing and I love you all, but I'm a very quiet person. Like I don't talk a whole ton in person. Like I do, but I don't. And people would come to the conventions and meet me and be like, "Oh, you're actually really quiet. You really don't talk a lot." And I was like, "I know, I told you guys." It's just me.
How special is it though? You show up for the podcast every week and you give your all.
I try.
Besides our intentions for the podcast, we want to talk about our personal intentions, our personal growth that we want to do for this year. So something for myself is I really want to show up and do my daily docket, which is like my daily, like I get to do list. And I really want to do this because we're having a baby and I want to be in the right mindset before we even have baby. So just keeping up with my task and keeping up with the things that like make me feel human and make me feel good and like make me feel like that ray of sunshine that I want to be. Um, and consistently just continually like doing the planning and being successful with it and getting it done. I would like to continue doing like working in childcare as much as I can. I absolutely love it. So I feel like that's my goal every year though. Like I love childcare and I love creating those like magical moments for children. So another thing is I want to really get back into making sure I'm davening, praying every morning, every night. I'm lighting Shabbos candles. And then once we have baby, like really doing those holiday traditions, doing all that like fun, magical holiday stuff. And I think too, like I went to Jewish day school for so long. So like just really remember like going back and rereading everything because honestly I'm forgetting stuff. And I feel so bad because I went to Jewish day school for so long. And everything is just like continue growing in my mental health. Like I said, like it's really important to me. It's always been important. And I think I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't create this like strong mental health that I had and just doing things I'm passionate about and loving. And then I need to get out of doom scrolling. Like I will tell you right now, it is bad, my TikTok watching today. Like I will be so honest. I watched TikTok for an hour and 43 minutes. That is just, I didn't even post anything today on there. So really getting out of doom scrolling, like something I need to get back into, and I was telling Jackie this before we hopped on, is I used to have like daily tasks and they were like what to do instead of doom scrolling. So like it was like go through my photos or like I don't know, whatever, something easy like that, but things I could do on my phone. And at the same time, I would doom scroll. So just really getting back into that kind of stuff. And then I really love this podcast. This podcast has really pushed me to take care of myself in ways like I forgot about. Like, if you guys heard the first couple episodes, you'll know that like I took care of my grandparents for a couple years and then they got sick and passed away. And I wasn't pouring into myself the way I have in the last couple year or so, just because even though I've been doing the work, I feel like I could do more work. So really like this podcast has pushed me to want to do the work. Like when we have these episodes, I'll go home and like talk about it, or like I'll get excited. Like I'll be like, we just did a podcast episode about boundaries. Let me tell you about it. Let's hear Jackie's now.
Yeah, so a lot of mine are kind of coming over from 2024 and just kind of continuing the consistency. I started doing solo dates last year because I was just trying to find myself. I got my Disney pass this past summer, and so I really want to continue doing Disney walks or just solo dates by myself. I was considering doing an art class maybe, so we'll just see kind of how that works out, but definitely more solo dates, which is very out of my comfort zone, by the way. Going places alone is, I don't know why. Like I love to be at my house alone, but going outside of my house alone is just strange to me. So it's fine. Sticking to a routine, I started this year doing a different routine than I've ever done. And I feel like it's been working so well. I feel like I finally figured out like a good routine for myself, a way to kind of schedule my day to make sure that I'm meal planning, getting a workout in, like prioritizing myself, just putting priorities on the right things. I feel like I have an issue with prioritizing. So I've been doing that and I want to continue to kind of make that work for myself. Friday nights, I already told my husband and the kids, and my son, it was so cute the other day. He was like, yeah, Shabbat on Fridays. So Fridays are Shabbat and game night. Not going to plan anything else on Fridays because that's what we're doing. So that'll be cute unless we're obviously out of town. I want to try more sourdough recipes, but like I want to try other cooking other stuff, like other dinners and things like that, like trying new recipes. I definitely want to do that this year. I've been growing my social media, but I want to start talking on my social media. I haven't gotten there yet. It's really scary for me to do that, but that's definitely on my list this year to get out of my comfort zone. I also have a list, like Ashley said, of things I could be doing other than scrolling. I heard someone call it a dopamine menu. And so, like on social media, and so that's what I called it. And I just have like a list of things, like instead of scrolling, this is what you should be doing. Do I always follow it? No, I'm not perfect, but I have that as well. So I definitely want to stick to that more this year. I did put a limit on my time, whatever, on my social media, but you can always click out of it, so it's fine. And the last thing that I put down was to be just as consistent with my journaling and practice like lettering, which is like writing really pretty. It's called lettering. So those are my things this year.
I love them. I also am trying to be consistent on my content. I forgot to say that, but I love that. I'm like talking on camera and going back into that like vlogging era. I love it. We have such good goals, and I feel like a lot of them are matching, so we can like help each other grow.
Yay.
Yeah.
We would love to hear what your goals are this year. If you have them, like let's chat about it. If you need help figuring out how to kind of work towards them or what I told Ashley a few months ago, I was like, I don't even know what my goals are. So it's okay if you don't have them yet. But if you have need any help with it, then just ask us. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, and we love again hearing from you, like what topics we should talk about and what conversations you want to hear and things you're looking for from this podcast. So these are our intentions, but we want to know your intentions for this podcast. How can we support you in our podcast and how can we grow this podcast with you? Okay. But yeah, like we said, we started this podcast because we love what we're talking about and we hope you love it too. And if you do, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, like, add our channel, send this to your friend, whatever you need to do to get it out there. If this is an episode you want to hear more of, let us know. We really, again, want to grow this and have this be something you want to listen to. So we will see you next week for next week's episode. And we will see you every 2 weeks for book club. And we're excited to grow and we're excited to complete these goals with you. And we love you. Have a good night.
Thanks for being here. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for spending time with us today and being part of our Hermit Haven community.
We hope you enjoyed our cozy chat and are inspired to embrace your inner hermit.
Remember, even in the quiet moments, you're never alone on this journey because we are truly all in this together.
So until next time, stay cozy, stay true to yourself, and keep spreading love wherever you go.
Bye for now.
We'll see you next time.